Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. On May 3rd, 1887, the ground begins to tremble beneath the adobe buildings of Charleston, Arizona. For 30 long minutes, the earth shakes violently, and when the dust finally settles, an entire town lies in ruins. But this wasn't just any town. This was Charleston, known to some as Red Dog, to others as Devil's Den, a place that would rival Bodie and Dodge City for its reputation of lawlessness, where students brought guns to school, where a German scientist met a mysterious end, and where justice was served at the end of a sawed-off shotgun. Welcome to Southwest Desert. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and bloody history of Charleston, Arizona, a town that, as local historian Al Moretti put it, lived and died to the sound of gunfire. Our story begins at the San Pedro River, a vital 10-mile stretch of water that would become the lifeline of Charleston. This wasn't just any waterway. It was a liquid highway connecting the American frontier to Mexico, a strategic position that would shape the destiny of a town yet to be born. But before Charleston would rise from the desert floor, there was Frederick Brunkow, a brilliant German scientist from the prestigious Freiburg School of Mines. In 1858, Brunkow arrived in the area under circumstances that remain shrouded in mystery to this day. What drove this educated European to abandon his homeland for the dangerous Arizona territory? The answer died with him, but his legacy would live on in the silver veins he discovered while working for the Sonora Exploring and Mining Company. Brunkow's story ended as mysteriously as it began, murdered by his own workers, taking the full extent of his discoveries to his grave. But the silver he found wouldn't remain hidden forever. 2 decades later, in 1878, 3 ambitious men would change the landscape forever: Richard Gerd, Ed Schieffelin, and Governor Safford. Together, they formed the Tombstone Mining and Milling Company, and from the desert dust rose Charleston, a carefully planned company town built of adobe bricks, strategically positioned across from Millville. The town's architecture told its own story. Adobe was the primary building material, but this wasn't just mud and straw thrown together. Select structures boasted wooden floors and plastered walls, signs of sophistication in the frontier. The town's design reflected its purpose. Everything centered around the mining operations that gave Charleston its reason for being. At the heart of Charleston's industrial might stood the 10-stamp mill on the East River bank. Picture it: a massive wooden flume system carrying water from a dam a mile south, powering the stamps that crushed silver ore day and night. And here's where Charleston showed its pragmatic spirit. Those stamps kept thundering even on Sundays, much to the initial horror of the operation's eastern backers. The decision to run the mill on Sundays came down to a simple observation. The eastern investors, visiting their investment, witnessed what happened when miners had their Sundays free. They spent them drinking, leading to unproductive Mondays. The choice between piety and productivity was clear. The stamps would thunder 7 days a week. Charleston's business district would have impressed any frontier entrepreneur. 4 general mercantile stores supplied the necessities of life, while a meat market kept the town fed. A drugstore provided medicines, and 2 Chinese-operated restaurants offered variety to the local palate. The same Chinese businessmen also ran the town's laundries, keeping miners and merchants presentable despite the desert dust. But it was the hospitality sector that truly set Charleston apart. Mrs. Hughes's boarding house, the Eagle Hotel, and the Royal Hotel provided beds for weary travelers, while somewhere between 5 and 13 saloons, historical accounts vary, quenched the town's considerable thirst. Charleston even boasted the first territorial ice machine, allowing Tombstone's elite to enjoy their whiskey on the rocks, a luxury that made Charleston the talk of the territory. Law enforcement in Charleston took an unusual form under the legendary Constable Burnett. Forget everything you know about typical frontier justice. Burnett's system was unique. With no formal jail, he relied on his trusty sawed-off shotgun and a swift justice system that would make modern courts look positively glacial. Trials were immediate, fines were collected on the spot, and Burnett himself worked on what amounted to a commission system, taking his pay directly from the fines he collected. The town attracted its share of notorious visitors. The McLaury Bunch, the Clanton Gang, and the legendary Johnny Ringo all walked Charleston's dusty streets. Fort Huachuca soldiers, flush with payday cash, added to the volatile mix. Violence could erupt at any moment, as demonstrated by the infamous Johnny Behind the Deuce incident. Picture this scene. A man known as Johnny Behind the Deuce had just killed mining engineer Philip Schneider. As an angry mob gathered to lynch him, Charleston erupted into chaos. Johnny managed a dramatic escape to Tucson, only to break out of jail there, adding another chapter to Charleston's legend of lawlessness. But perhaps nothing better illustrates Charleston's unique character than its school. Imagine a classroom where students regularly brought firearms to class, where target practice wasn't just allowed. It was practically part of the curriculum. Students would shoot buzzards from the windows and take pot shots at flies on the walls. The situation became so routine that teacher Weatherspoon eventually installed a cloakroom gun shelf, making weapon check-in mandatory. Yet amidst all this violence and vice, there were those who painted a different picture. Mary Wood, interviewed by the Tombstone Epitaph in 1929, insisted Charleston was safe for law-abiding citizens. She pointed to an impressive fact. Despite annual bullion shipments worth $1,380,336, not a single robbery occurred. According to Wood, violence found only those who went looking for it. The town faced its share of social challenges. The location of a bordello near the school created obvious problems, leading to its eventual relocation near Fort Huachuca, a move that probably pleased the soldiers more than the educators. The town's position on the San Pedro River made it a crucial link in a network of frontier communities, including Tombstone, Millville, and Contention City. Ore wagons rumbled constantly between Charleston and Tombstone, carrying both raw material and the promise of fortune. The beginning of the end came with the flooding of Tombstone's mines. As ore production declined, so did Charleston's fortunes. The loss of Mexican trade to Nogales further weakened the town's economy. But it was that fateful earthquake in 1887 that delivered the final blow. For 30 minutes, the ground shook without mercy. Adobe walls, so practical in the Arizona heat, proved tragically vulnerable to the earth's violence. When the shaking stopped, Charleston was finished. No attempt was made to rebuild. The era of the company town was over. Today, Charleston is just another ghost town in the Arizona desert, its adobe walls slowly melting back into the earth. But for a brief, brilliant moment, it was a place where fortunes were made and lost, where the sound of gunfire mixed with the stamp of the mill, and where the American frontier dream played out in all its complex, violent glory. When journalist James G. Wolfe visited in 1883, he described a town where gambling never ceased and saloons never closed. But perhaps the true Charleston lay somewhere between Wolf's den of iniquity and Mary Wood's peaceful community. Like all frontier towns, it was a place of contradictions, where civilization and savagery danced a delicate balance, where fortunes could be made or lost in a day, and where the American West was steadily transforming from wilderness into history. Muriel Cybele Vola, who chronicled so many ghost towns of the West, wrote that dead men in Charleston streets were a common sight. Yet through it all, the town persisted, processing silver, shipping ice to Tombstone, educating its children, armed though they might be, and somehow maintaining enough order to protect those valuable bullion shipments. The story of Charleston is more than just another tale of a boom-and-bust mining town. It's a microcosm of the American frontier experience, the dreams, the violence, the innovation, the lawlessness, and the steady march of civilization. As we stand here among the ruins, we're reminded that every ghost town has its stories, and Charleston's are as rich and complex as the silver veins that gave it life. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest adventure. Check out my large Southwest catalog of playlists and videos on historical tales, legends, lost gold tales, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.